Accelerated mixed martial arts training is a highly effective, detailed, comprehensive, scientific approach to martial arts, physical fitness, and human performance. Its principles and concepts were founded on the correct applications of physics and body mechanics. The concept of the jab is simple, said to be a quick blow off the lead side of the body, out and back. The concept of the jab is simple. It's the one strike that offers the widest variety of applications in most combat scenarios. The concept of the jab is simple. Okay, now that we've covered the 6 principles in detail that we need to use to have a more effective jab, let's go ahead and get into applying them into different variations of the technique. All right. Now, the first technique or the first variation of the jab we want to cover is the speed jab. All right. Now, there's 2 primary ways that the jab can be delivered. Actually, there's 3, but 2 of them are more primary. So we're going to stick with the first 2. The first variation of it, which is most common, is a horizontal type punch, where the knuckles are along on the horizon like this. That's the most common variation. All right. The other variation is what we call more natural jab, or a vertical type fist like this. All right. And they both have their advantages and disadvantages. We're going to pick the vertical fist for right now because it emphasizes more speed. All right. Now you can throw the punch any way you want to, but I just want you to notice something. When your hands naturally hang down here like this, okay, your hands naturally don't hang here. So when you reach up to shake somebody's hand, right, you bring your hand up like this. All right. This is the most natural hand hanging position there is. Right. It's not from here. So the reason why we call this a more natural type jab in here like this, because it follows that natural hand hanging position. All right. If I bring my hands up in here in alignment like this, like we were talking earlier about that sight alignment principle, my arm is immediately aligned with the intended target like this, whether it's a fist or whether it's a palm or a finger. All right. If I bring my arms up in here like this and I turn my forearm here like this and deliver this more horizontal, right, this is taking a different trajectory in here like this, right? This requires 2 steps of action. All right, this is 1 step of action, this is 2. So no matter how fast you are, if you're going to deliver a horizontal jab, you have to get it up on this plane, right? 1, 2, okay? You have to do that. All right, now some people are going to say, well, why don't you just turn your fist over in here like this? Right, just kind of round off those corners, and certainly you can, but you know what? You're not going to be able to hit consistently like that all the time. So if he puts the pad up in here, right, and I try to keep my forearm, you know, in this line of force and just try to turn my fist over here like this, right, and what's going to happen is that when he walks forward on me in here, I'm going to end up getting jammed, all right, and that's not a realistic technique. It doesn't follow line of force. So it's okay to do on that pad, but you're not going to be able to hit consistently like that in real combat. Right? So we want to have a more natural trajectory with that strike. That's why we want to pick more of the vertical fist. Okay. Now when we do this in here, if you're in MMA competition, you're wearing your 4-ounce gloves. Right? It's important that when you deliver the technique in here, that you hit as flat as you possibly can. All right. You want to make sure you hit with the bottom 3 knuckles. Right? Not the top 2. I don't want to hit like this with my wrist bent like this. All right. I don't want to hit with the bottom 2 here like so. All right, I want to try to hit flat. Think about stamping your name in here right on the target like so. Okay? Make sense? All right. So now what's going to happen is that what I want to do is create a very, very quick piston-like action when I deliver this technique. All right. So the first drill, we'll learn how to deliver speed with the vertical jab, is to take your partner, he's going to put the focus pad up, and I'm going to position the focus pad where it works for me. Now we're going to assume right now that our opponent is going to stay at range, or he's slightly out of my range. All right, and the reason for this in here is because all we want to be able to do is learn, let's stand this way more, is learn to be able to cover this ground here very, very quickly, right? So he's not charging into me right now, he's not trying to grapple, he's not rushing in, whatever. He's basically standing right here and giving me a stationary target so I can practice the mechanics of what has to happen. That's all we're trying to do is just to get this mechanics of what has to happen for this vertical punch. Okay, so now you're going to take your body and you're going to put it in a distance where you can cover that distance very easily. So So remember what I was saying earlier about locomotion? This is where locomotion is important. Everybody practices hitting focus pads right here like this, which is fine, right? But you know what's unrealistic about this? Is that he can reach out and touch me, right? So that means if he can reach out and touch me and I can reach out and touch him, well basically we're going to be trading back and forth, and that's not realistic. That's not where I want to apply this, right? I have to learn how to get there, right? Right? Once I'm there, right, then I can, do whatever you think you need to do, but I need to learn how to get to that range, okay? So one of the biggest mistakes when learning how to, when delivering speed is trying to cover too much ground, right? He's got that up in here like this, and I'm way out here, and I try to lunge at him here like this, right? And I may be able to move very quickly in here, but you know what? He's going to see it, he's going to sidestep me in here. I'm completely out of position. If I miss in here, I'm not effective, right? I'm not in a very good position to continue or to get myself back in here. So I need to be able to apply this from a realistic distance. This is why you need to be able to control the time distance variable, right? So as you set this up, you're not moving around right now, right? That comes later in here. And I'm going to put my body into that delivery position here, where when I deliver the technique, it just comes out here like this. Very short, controlled body weight. I'm loading my drive leg in here. I'm taking my forearm, I'm lining it up with the target. It's traveling right here like this, right? I'm hitting about 90% locked out right here, all right? I want to also travel about 3 inches, maybe no further right now through the pad. I'm not trying to knock him out with this. That's a different version of the jab we'll get into a little later here. I'm just trying to create a quick shock wave, okay? So as you line up in here like this, load your drive leg in here, put yourself into a sprint position, bend your knees, tuck your chin down in here, take your forearm and point at the target here. Now I'm just going to keep my fist semi-closed, or you can close it, but don't clench down to where you're so tense that you're slow. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to move my weapon, and as I move my weapon, my front leg is going to move and my back leg is going to catch right up in here like this, right? My stance, my body should go all together. It should be one motion in here, okay? I step back again, find that same distance, load myself. Right, see that? Load my arms in here like this again, and I'm trying to take this one direct line in here, right, to the target. Keep in mind too, when you move, is try to let your body weight sink to the ground for just a moment, right? You don't want to raise up in here like this, okay? Don't lock this front leg out in here, and making sure that when you move your body in here, that your back leg doesn't come up so far in here. Obviously, you're not in a functional position. You can't brace for force, right? And obviously, don't keep your back leg here where you're going like this in here, right? That's that reaching thing again, right? So we turn more this way. I line the pad up in here, and I point my forearm right at the target, load my drive leg in here, step forward. Okay, see how that works? All right? So the real trick is, for speed, is to keep the elbow more down and deliver more of this vertical fashion punch, okay? Right? And remember, the reason for that in here is it's more natural, right? It's very fast. It's very hard to see this in here when I line this thing up in here like this, right? Bam! In here, right? If I line this thing up with his face in here, all he really sees is the front of my fist coming at him. If I have my forearm up here like this, and he's got that pad up, right, he's going to see the whole forearm in here. And when I deliver that strike, even though I can hit, relatively fast and hard, like out here, the bottom line is I'm not in a very good line of force until the very end of the punch. And you got to keep in mind, even though this is basically just trying to create speed, that you got to be ready to use that jab in all sorts of ways, because in application, if he were to rush me in here, right, I need to be able to at least have ability to intercept this person. So that forearm always has to be ready to go in here. I have to have my body coiled and loaded in here. I got to be able to moving around. If he moves around a little bit in here, I got to be able to track him on center line and deliver that punch in here like that. Right? So if I'm sitting there with my hands back in here in a very defensive position, and I'm thinking about only hitting him out here, and he moves on me real fast, and I hit him like this, right? Guess what? I'm not going to be able to stop that person, which is why a lot of fighters get taken down, because they don't have that barrier concept, right? What I was talking about earlier, right? So we want to be able to still be in a position where we can stop or intercept that guy coming in, even though I'm delivering a speed strike, right? So one more time again. Actually, let's switch positions and look at it from the left side here. So if I'm operating from this position, I line my forearm up in here, I load my drive leg, I tuck my chin, my other hand is up in here, ready to block or in a defensive position. And as I step forward, right, pow, right? And make sure when you step forward, you don't step on center line, right? Don't, you know, this is center line here, don't step on center line. You want to step your foot slightly outside center line here. If you step on center line, you're basically standing on a tightrope and here you get knocked off balance at a right angle, all right? So make sure that when you do step, you line, think about the pad. And I'm going to split the pad in half, and center line is coming right down here like this. So my foot's going to go on the other side of center line. All right, so from here, you step forward, okay? All I'm doing is moving my hand, and then move my body right behind it. I'm not winding up in here, right? I'm not taking a step, then delivering it, right? That's two motions. I'm trying to do this in one motion, or in one motion as much as I can without losing any kind of effectiveness on the punch, okay? Okay? So practice that from either left or right side and work on until you have a discernible amount in speed. Okay, let's go over some other drills that you can apply, practicing that speed jab, all right? So the first drill that we kind of did is where the pad was up in here, and we are assuming that the opponent is standing at range or slightly out of range, right? So bottom line is you have to cover that ground. That's basically what that's designed to do. You need to be able to locomote your body forward in here like this, right? You're certainly not rotating from out here. Don't try to stay out here and reach for this thing like this. This is where you're going to get countered or taken down because your body's going to be planed off like this, okay? So you primarily want to use locomotion in this, right? You do this in a comfortable distance in here where you can close the ground, close the distance, real fast in here like that, all right? Now another drill that you can always do is what we call more of a reaction drill. And what this is designed to do is to keep the fighter always ready to fire that punch. All right? In other words, he has to stay in his stance irregardless of what the person holding the pad is doing. All right? What that means is as he's going to hold the pad here like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself in that ready position. Once again, we're still stationary, kind of operating from the same distance. And what he's going to do is that as that pad comes up, in alignment in here, as soon as that pad comes up, go ahead and do it again. All right, then I'm going to fire that punch quickly in here, and the goal is try to stay in perfect form, right, and still retain enough speed and power to be effective. All right, so I want to make sure that my body is alive. All right, I don't want to be standing here kind of waiting like this, real light. Remember, because we're assuming this is mutual combat. This is not like self-defense right now, where we're standing here, kind of talking, and he jumps and I hit him. So this is combat ready. So I'm going to put myself into a position in here, and then when I tell him I'm ready, I'll say ready, and then he's going to give me like a second, and then the pad's going to come up. All right, so ready. Alright, so again, I get myself relaxed, coiled and loaded. Don't say ready until you really feel ready. Ready. Okay, one more time. Relax yourself, strip away any tension that you feel coming on. Ready. Okay, that's another variation on how you can tell if you're, if you're going to be faster or not. All right, you can do that from both left and right stances, and make sure that when you do it right, that you are taking your time and really making sure that you're, coiled and loaded. Try to economize your motion and try to make a very swift, fast punch in here. So when it does come flying out in here, it should feel real effortless. You shouldn't feel like you're really tensing or struggling or trying to muscle this in. Practice it and work on it. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at another drill that you can do to kind of develop your speed. The other drill is kind of maybe more for a beginner. This one can be a little more advanced, all right? Same basic idea, except for I'm not going to say I'm ready, but he's going to put the pad in that general idea again, and I'm going to load myself in that same position. And that pad can come up at different intervals in here, all right? So I'm still going to try to stay coiled and loaded, and I'm going to keep my eyes kind of keyed on where that pad is. Try not to blink as this is happening, and as it comes up, deliver a shot, okay? So relax myself again, get myself ready. All right, one more time. Okay, work on that. Okay, the final drill here that you can use to work on your speed and your reactions is take your partner and he's going to hold the pad down and now apply it mobile. So he's going to kind of roam in an area here where, you know, from left to right, you know, forward, backward, but you want to still stay basically just outside the range. You know, don't be, you know, encroaching each other in here. So I'm going to load myself in here again, and I'm going to stay, you know, keep yourself live and ready to go in here. Always be ready to fire that punch. And as he kind of moves around a little bit, I'm just going to follow him and kind of keep my eyes open on that pad and waiting for that pad to come up. Here, let's try to get it. All right, again. Okay. All right, practice that, work on that. The concept of the jab is simple. Okay, now that we've gone through how to deliver the basic speed jab, let's go ahead and get into the blinding jab. Now, the definition of the blinding jab is basically the manifestation of the old 1-2 in boxing, all right, jab, cross, except for we're going to deliver a lead jab, rear jab combination. And the reason why I want to do that, like I said before, is no matter what you do with this horizontal punch, you have to take 2 steps of action, okay? So even though it is more powerful, in here I may not always be able to get that strike off, all right? So the goal here is still to develop speed, but what we want to be able to do with the blinding jab is to able to hit 2 times in the time frame it takes to throw 1. So doing this, you don't want to try to, you know, hit, you know, hard with your lead and then harder with your rear. That would be emphasizing speed versus speed, lead with speed, you know, follow with power. What we want to do is lead with speed and follow with speed. All right, now why do we want to do this? Is because this can also vary up the timing and the rhythm. If he's used to seeing, he's got that pad up in here, and he's used to seeing this jab cross coming in, you know, at this speed in here like this, he may not, you know, he may pick up on that, but he may not be ready for me to come in, you know, and deliver jab, rear jab in here like that. Okay, so when I do this in here, when you deliver a rear jab, whatever guard you have, all right, if you're standing, you know, more of a southpaw position like this. Right, remember we want to sight align that lead hand, you know, more with the target. We want that thing, because that's the closest weapon and closest target. We want that sucker, you know, get that thing right in there real fast in here like this. We want to, our intent is to make sure that sucker, you know, leads in like a sword in here. Right, now the rear hand is going to be probably up a little higher. Right, most people hold their hands up like this in here, both hands up here to protect their face, which is fine. Right, but I told you before, the problem with that is, for speed, your forearm and fist is not in that line of force until at the very end. And he can see the whole weapon coming at you like this in here, right? Or if you bring the thing out like that, all right? So that lead hand, we kind of want to offset that so it's more in line with the target immediately, right? That way we can hit on those close distances in here. The rear hand tends to be a little higher in here for defensive reasons. I want this thing off my shoulder line. I don't want it off 90 degrees, right? I don't want it on 0 degrees. I want it about 45 degrees off center line. That allows me to block, you know, any, you know, or shield, you know, any circular strike in here, and at least allow me to deflect the you know, linear strikes. So it's going to be slightly higher. So you're going to have to learn how to drop this thing into alignment like this. It's going to have to kind of round off the corners in here when you deliver that blinding jab coming in here like this, okay? Now, obviously, if your hands are moving around wherever, you're gonna, you know, even, you know, your lead and your rear hand, you're gonna have to get him on that line of force immediately. Okay, which goes reasons why we want to be able to sight align our techniques or keep them sight aligned as much as possible before we take action. So we're on that, you know, that specific, you know, trajectory is immediately as much as possible. All right, so when we're doing the blinding jab, what you want to be able to do. All right, the biggest mistake when people deliver a combination is they drop their hands in here. Right, that may happen to some degree in here like this. Right, their hands kind of drop coming back in here, especially when they're throwing a lot of power strikes. definitely with the speed strikes in here, since I'm just trying to cover enough range to get here, right? Remember, I'm basically just, you know, dealing with him slightly out of my range in here, so I have to cover that ground. I want to make sure that when I deliver this blinding jab or any speed strike, for example, that I bring my hands right back in here so I'm ready and loaded for the next strike. Because remember, if this doesn't work, I'm ready to do the next thing, okay? That jab doesn't work, or that jab cross doesn't work in here, whatever combination doesn't seem to work, I need to be able to retain my guard position in here, so if I do miss in here, I'm in a position to, you know, basically deliver the next thing, whatever that seems to be, okay? So, on this blinding jab, what you want to be able to do, as you bring the lead hand forward like this, you're going to step forward, low come up forward, bring your head down, right? Stay loaded and coiled here. As you drop your weight in here like this, right? And you got to aim flat in here. Is the rear hand sitting up in here like this, okay? And I'll show this from a different angle here in a moment. And what I'm going to do is right when this thing makes contact, a fraction after this thing makes contact in here, I'm going to drop my rear hand right in the same spot in here like this. All right, you see that? So again, as I come forward in here, this thing shoots out, bam. I bring the rear hand right and try to hit the same spot. As I do that, I pull the lead hand back, right back into the position kind of where it started from. It's still kind of aligned in here. Don't pull it down here. Don't pull it back in here. Try to pull it back into a position where you're ready to defend yourself, or more importantly, fire another technique, right? Fire another jab in here like this, or fire, you know, that cross or whatever, okay? So one of the key things here in the blinding jab is to learn how to hit relatively the same amount of speed and try to hit with two times the time frame it takes to throw one. All right, so I would come forward in here like this and then bring it here. Okay, see how that works? Lead jab, rear jab. Now as I deliver this and I throw my rear jab out here, this same hand is back in position to fire again. And if I were to continue delivering the same chaining techniques in here, my rear hand would pull back in the same manner here. So it's always ready to take action, block, or defend, or strike back. Okay? Now, a key thing here is when you strike, let's switch sides here for a second here, so you can see what my rear hand is doing, is to kind of, you know, help or to aid in accuracy. As I deliver this lead jab in here like this, I want to drop the front fist about 1 fist height here, and then shoot the rear jab right over the top. Okay, so you kind of got to, you know, practice, you know, dropping here and then firing like this. That kind of helps me, you know, hit the same spot. What I don't want to do is, you know, I can deliver this fast in here, but I'm going, okay, see my hands all bounced off like that. One hit here, one hit here. Right? That means in reality I'm going to be hitting him, you know, in different areas like this, which, you know, that may happen, and, you know, so be it, right? But the point is try to be done and accurate. It's almost like double tapping with a gun. Pop, pop, pop. I want to hit the same spot twice if I can, all right? So the rear hand is going to drop or come in the fraction of a second. Lead hand drops down about 1 fist height. Rear hand comes in right here like this. My head is down. My chin is down, like I'm looking, you know, like I'm taking a bow of a boat and kind of piercing the waves in here. All right, so it looks like this again. Alright, and see how I kind of pull myself back so I'm ready to fire another strike again. Okay, let's do it from this angle again. Alright, now remember, important that you don't try to lunge at this person. I'm not trying to fly out here and doing this. Remember, when you deliver more than one strike at a time, you're more open. Alright? There's more commitment going on. Okay, more energy expender. Okay? So you have to make sure that you economize your motion when you do this. All I'm trying to do is just bunt this guy twice. One, you know, he gets one, you know, a punch in the face in here like this, you know, and get him thinking about that. The next time, he gets another one here. Okay, so from this side it would look like, okay, see how that works? Now people are going to say, well, why don't you just throw a jab cross? And certainly you can, right? But you know what? I may not be able to get that rear cross up there, okay? I may not be able to deliver that power shot immediately. Certainly I want to get to the power shot as soon as I possibly can, but I may not be able to do that. Okay, I may have to use, you know, multiple economy strikes until I can get him in a position, you know, where he's off balance, stunned, and here, a combination of both until I can follow with another power shot. So again, the blinding jab is just another variation in how to use the same concept, the same piston-like action from both sides in here like this, okay? All right, so and I'll give you kind of another idea about this. I'll switch to my other stance in here. Even in close range in here, I still can deliver this thing, you know, in close in here. I can really put chain punches together in here like this and create, you know, a quick shock waves in here like that, okay? So take that blinding jab and start playing around your arsenal and try to hit, you know, dead on accurate. And making sure that you don't drop your hands in here. Keep your chin down, eyes open in here, stay small in here, boom, bam, in here like this, and try to retain your hand position right back in here like this. Try it, work on it. Okay, let's go ahead and take another look here at some of the details about delivering the blinding jab. All right. Now, one of the major things when you're delivering the jab, once you kind of get it down on the focus pad, you kind of pick up that speed, is to make sure that you're not over-committing. The idea is to be able to hit the person continuously, if possible, without over or under committing. All right. So this is why you have to be able to kind of cut that time distance variable down first. And then, you know, and then try to jump in, okay? So, again, you know, I'm slightly out of his range in here like this, and, you know, he's willing to stand there. And what I want to be able to do is when I close the gap with that lead jab, I want to make sure, you know, that my front leg is hitting the ground first. I don't want to be in the mid-air, you know, trying to think I'm going to deliver that, follow with that blinding jab, because I'm not anchored to the ground. I need to be anchored to the ground right on contact, right? So as I close the distance, you know, here with the first one in here like this, okay, I want to try to bring my stance with me here, so when I deliver the next one in here, all right, I'm right in position to continue going in here, right? If he moves backwards and I have to chase him, well then fine, I'm going to have to use adaptable type footwork to go after him, all right? So I don't know if he's going to move forward or slip or sidestep the strike in here. But what I want to make sure in the beginning is that when I practice closing the gap on somebody like this and I'm going to follow up, is that I don't overcommit. All right? That's one of the big problems of throwing your rear cross versus the rear jab, right? Because if I do this from here, most people stand, you know, with the right side back. If I throw a jab cross, you know, and he ducks underneath this thing in here like this, there's no barrier here in here, right? I'm going to get taken down in here like this, which is why most MMA fighters have to sprawl, because they're so in deep in here like this. There's no way that I can pull out, right? So we want to keep those elbows kind of down, because those elbows kind of, you know, provide some kind of barrier here when I come forward in here like this. All right. So just kind of looking at it from, you know, working with a partner in here, what I'm going to do is just kind of, you know, move around a little bit. He can kind of move, and I'm going to close the gap as fast as possible and try to aim those two techniques, you know, right here on the guy like this. Aim right for his chin and throat. Don't aim for his eyes in here. Don't aim for his nose, because if he moves his head in here like this, whoop, and it's going to slide right off, and I'm going to get taken down. So you got to have some control over over these two strikes put together in here. Right? Remember, the goal is you're not trying to knock him out. You're just trying to stun and shock him for a second. Okay? So again, just kind of take your partner, move around a little bit, sight line your hands, chin down here, eyes wide open, and come forward and deliver those strikes. All right? Again, and I should be able to hit, boom, pull my stance back, slide back, and repeat it. Okay? Let's do it again from this angle. So again, I'm slightly out of his range. Load my stance, chin down, sight align my hands, coming forward. One more time. Like that. Okay? See how that works? All right, practice that and work on it. Okay, now that I've gone over both the speed and the blinding jab application, let's go ahead now and go through a drill and some principles to kind of combine those two ideas together. All right. Now you need to have a stance that allows you to cover ground very quickly. Okay, so let's talk about that real fast. In most MMA competitions and stuff, people who study boxing usually adopt a stance that gives them more stability than more mobility. What that means is usually they're going to be in a position here where this right leg is bladed out like this, okay? And the advantage of doing this in here, particularly in boxing, is I got a lot of lateral sliding. I can pivot in here back and forth. Now in boxing, like I told you before, they don't need to cover ground. They don't need to worry about a collision. They don't need to stay out of the way. They're basically trying to stay just outside each other's range so they can, score on each other. In MMA, most people are staying really far away and then trying to leap in on you suddenly in here like this, right? Or they, try to get to zero ground in here. So you need to be able to have a stance that allows you to take advantage of this drive and brace leg, okay? If you look at a sprinter, you never see a sprinter like this. All right, sprinter's always got their leg forward in here, okay? So if you think of an imaginary line, a center line that cuts your body in half and comes right down the ground here, your feet on either side of the center line. All right, so if this is 90 degrees to center line and this is 0, I want it somewhere between 40 to 45 degrees. Okay, so I can take advantage of my quad, my glute, my hamstring, my calf, and my Achilles. If I stand here like this, you look at it from this angle in here, right, my leg is in a position not only to come up very quickly, but also if I have to deliver a kick in here like this or deliver a knee strike, I can do that. All right, I still have it angled out a little bit so I can rotate with power. That's the whole point of putting the foot and the hip out here like this. But if I stand here like this, I can't deliver a knee strike in here, right, or a kick without doing what? I have to go 1 and then 2. Okay, that's 2 actions and that's too slow. All right, so we have to kind of adjust the stance a little bit if you're going to hit continuously, right, quickly and continuously. All right. So applying this kind of, with a focus pad in here, what you're actually trying to do is cover this ground again, right? Remember, you don't want to stand here and just arm punch this thing. This is totally unrealistic for MMA. You do not want to be here trading punches back and forth. Yes, you want to get there and then jump on this guy in here like this, but you don't want to be standing there swapping blows back and forth. So you want to stay just outside of range and load this drive leg in here where you can take advantage of it like a coiled spring. You want to keep the heel slightly off the ground, just a few inches. Don't keep it way up in here like this, all right? Right? It's like almost like you're on women's high heels. That's not going to work very well. Keep it in a position here where you can drive it to the floor real hard and drive off, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself in that position and just kind of go through the basic premise of that speed jab again. Is practice just covering this ground in here real fast in here like that, okay? And when you do that, make sure that if you do that, you drop your weight. Don't raise up. Drop your quad in here like this. If you notice, my back leg comes with me very fast, right? I don't leave my back leg in here. I don't leave it back here, and I don't bring it up like this. Put it in a position where you can continuously hit, all right? So as I bring it forward in here like this, right? Once I'm here like this, if you were to step back out of range, I can fire another shot. Even if I miss him, I'm in a position to recover very fast in here. I'm in a position to continue on striking in here like this. Right, but if I keep my leg bladed out like this in here, I can't cover ground very well in here. Most people end up starting to get into a lunge position. They wonder why, they're leaning and lunging in here, getting out of position. So think of it like you got a string between your legs, and I'm trying to not break the string, but I'm not trying to take all the slack about it. I want to take it with me in here. So load your drive leg in here, and as I step forward with my jab, right, the back leg comes up with it, and I should be able to fire that blinding strike right after it. So once you can do that, go ahead and add that blinding strike again. So he comes forward again a little bit. Good. All right. Load, step forward. Okay. Again. Again. Okay. Now you're going to instruct your partner to slide back, right? And just come up with a number. Like, let's say you're going to deliver 2 single jabs. 1, step back. 2, step back. And on the third one, you're going to hit. He's going to step back a few inches just to allow you to follow up with that rear jab, okay? He's not trying to jump out of range. The point is that they're able to continuous striking, able to chain these techniques together, okay? So you're going to deliver 2 single jabs, and the third one he's going to step back. Like that, okay? All right, so now in application, if he evades the technique in here or sidesteps me in here, I need to be able to track him on center line. You need to be able to turn your whole body like a tank turner. Okay, so imagine if I were to throw the first punch, and I deliver the punch, and he steps over there. All right, so I deliver the first one. Now the second one, I need to track my body, turn my body to track, fire the rear one like this. Okay. All right, so he can move left or right. Right, that may happen. So once you get the base template down, him moving straight back at 6 o'clock, then have him, slide back a little bit. Right. So I deliver, one. Now he's going to slide back and move a different direction. Okay, see how that works? All right. Be creative with this. Then he can have him just randomly move whenever. All right. So as now he can just slide back. So go ahead and just slide back. Okay. So my lead jab didn't even hit. My rear jab hit though, and that's going to happen. Now when you do that though, right? Anticipate you're going to miss. But when I do that, if I do miss in here, womp, and he slides back. My hand is coming right back in position, right? My lead jab is coming right back. My rear hand is coming right back here. Don't lose your hands. Don't drop your hands in here like this. Okay, this is one of the advantages of delivering a linear strike in here like this. Very linear is that it should not deviate off that piston-like line. Okay. Now, when you do this, make sure that you don't get jammed either. All right. Because in the application, in reality, he may not stand, he may move into you. Right? So the point is, they able to kind of machine gun strike or punch this guy off you in here like that. Okay? You'll be able to hit with rapid fire strikes. If he starts to move back a little bit, I can be able to continue this hitting in here very quickly in here like that. Does that make sense? Alright? And then you can escalate into greater power or do whatever you want. But the point is, the base premise is learn how to kind of combine that blinding jab and rear jab together, right? So whether he slides back or not, so don't slide back now. So I'm just going to work my lead jab, okay? All right, and then he can slide back, okay? Even if I start to come at him, slide back. I still can reach him in here like that, okay? So practice that, with a partner. Have him just randomly start to move, back a little bit in here to where you can feel like you're in balance with your techniques in here like that, okay? Right? So chain your techniques together, lead jab, right? Or rear jab, lead jab, right? If you do them horizontal in here, it'd be the same basic idea, right? If I deliver a horizontal jab, I bring this thing up, drop my head in here like this, he slides back, then I can deliver my rear cross in here like that, all right? Same basic premise, just changing, the mechanics of the technique, to get more protection and get more power in here like that, okay? Practice that and work on it and make it work for you. Okay, now that we've gone through how to combine the speed and blinding jab together along with some adaptable type footwork or a stance that allows you to be more speed oriented, I want to kind of go ahead and just kind of talk a little bit more about the stance. The best stance is the stance that works, that gets the job done. It's the stance that is the one that offers the most advantages and very few disadvantages. Okay, so going back to in MMA competition, because of the nature of the speed, how fast everything's happening, the grappling, the changing levels, all the dynamics in here, and you don't know necessarily what your opponent's going to do. I don't care if you've studied your opponent, you go, okay, well I know this guy's a grappler. You still need to be ready for everything. Okay, so the stance that you take needs to be you need to be able to adjust it very minutely, right? If you think about it in here, like if you get it, when people wrestle, they're bent over and crouched here like this, right? So their upper body's not in a position really for a lot of power, but their legs are, right? Like in Thai boxing, they get real upright in here like this, they got the weight on the back foot in here, right? They're in a position basically to kind of use their front leg to deflect in here, keep their arms up to block and strike back in here, but you know what? They're not ready to deal with force. All right? You come flying at them like this, you're going to knock them on their butt. Boxing, they're a little more stable in here, right? And they can pivot back and forth, but they're not also ready for a collision either because that's not allowed in boxing. But in mixed martial arts, because he can change levels in here, he can evade, move out of the way, come in here. You need to be able to kind of have a neutral stance. All right, that means that it needs to be in a position where that you can get mobile, stable, move left or right as much as possible, assuming I can move. Now, if obviously I'm up against the cage, that's not going to happen. But that's not what we're talking about here. So when you are in your stance in here like this, if I know I'm dealing with a grappler and he's way down here like this, if he gets way down here and here, it's going to be much harder for him to strike me. Not impossible, but I'm not really worried about his kicking in here. If he's more squared up down here like this, I'm not really worried about him trying to kick me as much, right? But I want to make sure that I can, you know, still have a direct strike with that jab in here, right? Or that direct strike with that jab, right? Or if it's your cross, you know, like this, right? I need to kind of get down to his level in here, but still be in a position here when I can move in here real fast in here like this, and also move out of the way, okay? I also want to be in a position to still, you know, kick if I have to, right? So if I need to kick quickly or move fast in here, I need to shorten my base of support up and kind of raise it up in here like this, right? So if I adopt too wide of a stance in here, and I got this real powerful sprint position here, right? I can't cover as much ground. I can cover ground, small amount of ground, but not quite as easily, okay? And then if I bring my legs too close in here and I bring this drive leg up in here, I'm more mobile in here like this, but I have to drop it back for more stability to deal with if he comes in and tackles me in here, right? Oh, I gotta make sure that I can get this leg back in here like that, okay? So when you're working around, you know, you're on the focus pads and sparring and drilling, is try to always have that drive leg, you know, in that sprint position in here like this. So, you know, even if we turn a little bit, you know, we go this way or go this way, you know, he goes this way, I want to make sure I'm in a position where I can launch that thing forward in here like this, even if it's just short body weight in here. Right? I want to still be in a position, you know, where I can jab and immediately kick this guy and come back in here like this. I want to be able to bring my leg up real fast in here. I also want to be able to change levels in here real fast and stuff this guy on the way in. Okay, so try to find a stance that, you know, doesn't favor just one thing, right? The only time that you should be really adjusting your stance to these big extreme situations is because of a strategy. It's because you either know something about your opponent, or, you know, he's obviously trying to deploy a specific tactic that, you know, he's down here like this, you're like, okay, he's really trying to grapple. It's going to be very hard for him to throw punches from down here and kick, right? Not impossible, but it's going to be harder, right? If he's up right here like this, you know, and he's leaning back in here, it's probably he's trying to kick me in here like this. And, you know, if he's got to shift his weight and come in and get me like this, okay? So I want a very, very neutral stance in here like this. I want to keep my hands kind of, you know, aligned in here like this. If I got to bring them up to defend in here, fine. But I got to get them right back on that line of force, you know, immediately in here like this, making sure that I can pull my legs back in here. That's one of the problems about standing in that T stance I was telling you earlier. Right? If I stand like this, I cannot pass heel to toe. So I step back in here and trip on my own foot. I need to make sure that I can pass heel to toe with my in here. So you don't want to be standing on center line like this, okay? Making sure that your stance is live, right? You should be able to pick up any leg at any given moment in here like this, right? You don't be too flat-footed, don't be too tall, right? Always be kind of, your balance is always in balanced flux here. We're never in perfect balance, all right? So that way when we are, you know, squaring off in here, I don't know what I need, I can commit very short body weight in here, you know, and deliver my shots, right? Deliver my shots in here, right? You know, come down, deliver here, or if I'm going to do that takedown, right? It'd be very easy for me to do that, okay? So keep it simple and stay neutral. Work on it. The concept of the jab is simple. Okay, now that we've combined the speed and both the blinding jab into the arsenal now, let's go ahead and get into the other variations now of how to use the jab. The other variations is to learn how to stop hit somebody and intercept, okay? Now, we're going to keep these two categories separate because there is somewhat of a difference, but usually we just say, you know, intercept, sometimes we say stop hit, but there's somewhat of a difference. A stop hit basically is I'm going to stop their energy from coming in. Usually if they're trying to grapple or come in with a tackling strike in here, but they're coming in with a lot of energy in here, and I'm basically just, you know, pulling out the gun like a gunfighter and shooting them first in here like that, right? An intercept is more, I don't necessarily have to stop their mass, but I can intercept their action. They could be throwing a technique at me in here. As they throw the technique, you know, I kind of intercept it. I don't necessarily have to even hit them either. I can just stop them from taking action for a second. Maybe they have to step back, or maybe they have to defend themselves as they were throwing that technique. But the first version we're going to get into is the stop hit. Okay. Now, when you do a stop hit here, it's important that you really get yourself into a real powerful position. So when you are doing this, making sure that, again, that we're going to work with, basically he's just slightly out of your range and he's going to come in. Okay, don't be doing this where he's flying from way back here, because in a real situation, a person who's doing that doesn't really know what they're doing anyway, right? If he's coming from way out here like this in here, you're probably not going to be able to time this strike, and there's probably no reason to stop at the person. You probably can just get out of the way, all right? So make sure when you do this with your training partner that you practice this relatively closely, but give yourself enough reaction time to where you can actually make the drill work. Remember, the goal here again is to get the mechanics down what actually has to happen, so you can see how this, how to apply this kind of energy into your jab. All right. So the first thing is we're going to take like a chest armor or a kicking shield in here, and he's going to brace it on his chest. And what we want to do is just use a big piece of padding right now, so you can have something to hit in here like this. And then at more advanced drills, we'll use more smaller targets. All right. Want to pick the vertical jab again, all right? And like I said before, the reason why we want to use this jab right now, we're using this jab, is it has, a one-step action principle in here like this, right? This takes more time to get this action out. Even though we are going to go into that horizontal jab, we want to stick with the vertical jab now. I want to try to keep it as simple as possible, because when you have to react fast, you want to try to do the least amount of movement as possible, okay? All right, so basically what you're going to do is you want to put yourself in a real powerful position, all right? Remember, this guy's coming real hard in here. Grapplers, charges in here. He could be coming rage-based or technique-based, but the point is he's coming in real hard, all right? So you want to load your drive leg in here, and you want to get real small. Don't stand real upright like this, like you're going to kickbox, because if he slams into you in here, if he rushes in here like this, I'm just not going to have the energy to stop this guy. All right, so get real small, and you want to hide hide behind your defenses here. So when you come in and deliver this technique, you notice when you watch my head, everything kind of comes down onto this line in here like this, almost like I'm trying to spear this guy in here. So if he does swing as this happens, at least I have a chance to kind of deflect or at least protect my head. So if I do take a shot, I don't want to, but if I do take a shot, take it somewhere on the top of the cranium versus square in the chin or in the throat or something like that. Okay, so everybody's got to kind of find that stance for them. So if you want to stabilize yourself, load this drive leg in here like this, bring your chin down in here, and you want to bring your rear hand, if you're standing this way, if you're standing this way, take your rear hand and bring this thing up higher in here like this, and so you can shield or block on the way in. Anticipate this guy's throwing a punch in here, or a big haymaker, and you have to deflect on the way in. Okay? Don't keep it down here. Put it in a position where you can use it and be ready to defend yourself as well. If you're standing, obviously if you're standing this way, it'd be the same thing in here. Make sure that this hand kind of comes with in here like this, but don't extend it out too far in here where something can come around and flank me in here like that. Okay? Alright, so basically what he's going to do is we're going to do a countdown drill here, a 3-2-1 drill. And the purpose of using the counting first for a beginner is that the striker in here can get prepared mentally and physically to load and hit this thing. Okay, so what my training partner is going to do is he's going to count down from 3, 2, 1, and what I'm going to do is right when he moves in, I'm going to basically hit center mass in here like this. I want to aim in the upper third of the pad in here, because basically that's where his throat would be. Right, when you stop hit somebody, you don't aim here, you aim here, because if he comes at me and turns his head and crooked in here like this, if I aim for the throat in here or the upper chest, I'm still going to hit center mass, right? If he comes in and I aim for his nose and he moves his head in here like this, whoop, this is going to slide right off and I'm going to get taken down. Okay, so you need to stop center mass here first, and then from there, once you get him stopped, then you can go ahead and follow up with other techniques into different targets. All right. So I'm going to load myself. This is where locomotion is really important. I'm going to stay coiled and loaded here like this. I'm going to make sure that the front of my forearm, once again, is sight aligned with the target here like this. All right. And I'm just going to stay ready, and he's going to count down from 3, 2, 1, and then when he steps in, I'm just going to stop hit the pad in here, and then we start over again. Okay? So this is how it looks.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, see that? All right? Now it's important that you try to time this thing as much as you can in here and try to hit to where you're not locked out, but to where you hit, about 90% extension. All right? So just take a few times, just trying to get used to it and find that right timing, and then you can start speeding up. So again,
3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
All right, you notice when I hit this thing, I kind of let myself kind of slide back a little bit. If that happens, let that happen. You're not necessarily going to be rock solid all the time like this, but that's the intended goal, right? Make sure, right? You notice when I'm doing this, as he comes forward here, that I'm not reaching out like this. I'm not ahead of the punch, right? Notice if I do that here, just my arm is here punching. I don't have any mass. This is why you have to be able to use one of those body directional forces like we were talking about, okay? All right, so, and also make sure that I don't move my body so much as he comes in and I hit him here like this. This is not, a good spot to hit him. I want to try to hit him in that sweet spot, okay? So, as you get more comfortable with it in here, what he ends up doing is he takes out one of the numbers. So instead of going from 3, he just starts from 2, right? Which makes it, you have to get ready faster.
2, 1. 2, 1.
All right, now he just goes from 1 now.
1. 1.
All right? Now he just goes whatever he wants to and doesn't do anything. Okay, so if we go switch sides in here like this, basically if I'm doing it with my left jab, in here my left side forward, it'd be the same thing. So for you guys or fighters who fight, conventional, who put your power hand back, this is the time to really develop this very strong left, right? So people usually right hand dominated fight with their right hand and back, and here their power hand like this, and their left front hand, their so-called weaker hand, they put up front. So this is a good time to develop, your jab off your left in here. But do the basic same premise in here, right? I load myself in here like this. As you come forward, I deliver that action like that, okay? And as soon as you do that here, when I deliver that, boom, you can either slide straight back, okay? Or as he comes forward again, I can slide off to one side, all right? Doesn't really matter. Get in the habit of kind of moving in some direction though, forward, backwards at 6 o'clock, or at 5, or at 7, right? But, do that kind of, as you get more comfortable stopping the person here like this, all right? So, once again, let me back up just a little bit here. All right, as I load myself, remember, be ready to slam into this guy, meet this guy head on, drop your head down on this line in here and protect yourself on the way in, and making sure that you get nice and flat. Remember, stamp that hand in here. That's why I want that thing sight aligned. So again, one more time. Okay, all right, practice that, work on it. Okay, now let's go into the same application here, except for now we're going to use the horizontal jab. All right. Now the primary advantages of delivering the horizontal jab is, first and foremost, it offers a little more power because of taking advantage of rotation. All right. It also offers some degree of protection when I deliver the technique. Right. So if you look at it in here, the vertical jab, when I deliver the vertical jab, it comes right along the center line like this, right? Not from center line, but traveling right down the center line. So the real advantage of the vertical jab is speed, because it doesn't have to go from here, right? This is 2 steps of action, this is 1. So this is right in your face in here like this, okay? Also, with the elbow down in here, I have some degree of mid-gate protection in case he throws a strike in here like this, or if I have to change techniques at the last minute, right? So for example, once you put the pad on for a second, let's just say I go to deliver that stop hit punch and I miss, and he's trying to tackle me in here, and I come in and he goes underneath in here. At the last second here like this, I can drop this elbow basically into what we call a ram shield in here like this and stop him from coming in here like that, okay? So that's another advantage of keeping that elbow down. As he comes forward in here like this, I can drop this into a technique in there and stop that chance energy, right? I can't do that though if I deliver the punch up here. There's no elbow protection in here, so that's one of the disadvantages of delivering that horizontal punch, right? The other advantage of delivering that horizontal punch is that I bring my arm up in here like this. Even though I can get more torque, because the elbow's coming further away from center, right? This is that vector that you want to take. You don't want to throw this on a straight path. Remember I was telling you about that line of force principle, is that this is slightly unnatural in here like this, and people are going to fold this in here, right? If I come forward, he puts his hand up like that, and I deliver this like that, right? In here, this is going to collapse like that. I don't have the strength in my triceps to stop that. So we have to take a different line, all right? So that line has to come off this direction here like this. All right, so the advantage of having that elbow up and coming off this line is I can protect my head on the way in, right, from any kind of flanking outside line, right? So if he throws as a haymaker as he's coming in here, I can hide my head on the way in here like that. See that? Right? As he do that again in here, right? Boom, and still be able to stop hit this person, right? All right, so that's one of the advantages of delivering that horizontal jab like that. All right, but the primary disadvantage is if it's a two-step action. Okay, you got to get to here. All right, you do expose your body to some degree. All right, and most people don't throw the punch, don't learn it right. Right, like I said, they don't follow that proper line of force. They throw it from the center in here like this, even just a little bit. You know, this is exaggerated here. You know, but even just a little bit in here like this. If I bring my arm out in here, you know, typical boxer punch in here, and I try to turn my elbow over in here like this. If you notice from this angle, I'm not in a very good line of force until right at the very end. And against someone who's charging in on me, if he grab that pad in there. If he's charging in on me, and I'm trying to apply that stop hit principle again, and I think that I'm going to hit this guy from out here, and he moves in quickly like this is just going to collapse. Which is why I explained earlier why most people get taken down is because they don't view the jab as a barrier type strike like that. They may think of it as trying to snap it out there as he puts the pad up, and I can kind of keep him at the end of my punch in here like this, right? You know what? But nobody stays there. That's totally unrealistic, especially in MMA competition. How many fighters do you see that stay there at boxing range and and play this chess game back and forth like they do in boxing? Never, right? They're always colliding. They're always basically in here doing some weird haymaker trying to knock the guy out with a harder shot. So I need to have a lot more margin for error when I deliver this technique. Okay, but same basic drill, right? You take a big chest armor in here like this, or kicking shield, put yourself into a very strong position. Remember, stay coil loaded, bring your chin down, don't bring your shoulders up. All right, don't shrug. Let your shoulders naturally come up as you bring your arm up in here like this, but don't purposely do this, right? This is totally unnatural, and you're taking your back muscles out of action. Your back muscles stabilize your energy on the way on here like this to deal with this energy. So if you shrug your shoulders like this, you're basically just going to get peeled over in here. So keep your shoulders down, but let your chin tuck down. Okay. So what it looks like is as I start to move, my chin comes down and my arms come down on this line all at once like this. Right? You see how that works? Right? My chin goes down, I keep my eyes wide open, and I'm thinking about taking the strike right here on the tip of my head like this as I bring this punch into alignment like that. Okay? Right? I don't shrug my shoulders in here like this. Don't cock your head to the side. Right? Your neck's not in a strong position to take your head. Bring it straight down in here, but still be able to see what he's doing. Don't look all the way to the ground where you can't see. Right? In here. And deliver it from here, okay? So basically, remember, he's basically just slightly outside my range, and he's coming to me, right? And I'm just going to put myself in that sweet spot once again. So you can add the countdown drill if you want. If you feel like you got it, you don't need to add the counting. That was just more for a beginner, but basically you're just going to look like this. So I load myself, he comes forward, and I deliver it from there. All right, again. All right, one more time. Okay, see how that works? All right, so again, it's just the horizontal jab is just another variation of how to deliver the jab. Doesn't mean it's the way, it's just a way, okay? So you want to be able to use both of those and know when it's the best time to use, the vertical jab, when it's the best time to use the horizontal jab, all right? So take that drill, practice it, and make it work for you. Okay, now that you've gotten down, how to deliver the vertical and the horizontal jab and a stop hit idea, go ahead and make it more complex. Now take a smaller pad, like a focus pad, right, which means a smaller target, and try to practice your accuracy on this. Remember, speed and power is important, but accuracy is final. You have to hit the target just right. If I just cream off just a little bit in here, which can happen, this is why you have to be able to follow up, all right? But you need to try to be as very accurate as possible, because if I, like I said, if this is his face in here or his upper body in here like this, and he comes forward on me here, and I here like that, right? Then I just glanced off. All right, I want to stamp my fist. I want to go through 6-8 inches in here like this, right? So he hits that shock wave, right? And I guarantee you, right? You can actually drop somebody, knock them out cold if you time it just right. All right, even with small gloves on, right? So take a smaller pad in here, and same thing, put yourself in a real powerful position, making sure that he's actually got to cover this ground in here, and get yourself coiled and loaded, and he's just going to come forward on me in here and deliver that shot, okay? Alright, so you can start with a vertical punch and then switch to horizontal, go back and forth and flip-flop. It really doesn't matter, right? If you want to switch your stance in here, go ahead and practice from both. But get it down from one side first. Get, whatever stance you function from, do it from that side first. And then, as you progress, work on the other side. So from this angle, as he comes forward in here, okay, again. Alright, so as soon as I pick up on movement, as soon as I see something moving here, and you get to the right distance, right, I'm jamming this thing out in here like this, right? Alright, and one thing too, I want to add is don't be so concerned about pulling your fist out of there right away. In other words, as he comes forward here, don't be like this, right? You got to make sure that punch stops him. In other words, look at the effect of what happens. If it stops him dead in his tracks in here like this, and he kind of buckles, then you know it's worked, right? But if you pull your fist back too soon in here, you may pull some of the energy out, and he still may be coming. All right, so make sure you kind of, just like football, you kind of stiff arm him for a moment, and then kind of go by feeling, and determine kind of, now I pull my hand down and follow up in here, right? But don't rely on this, every time to stop him. This is just a way to do this, right? Be ready to follow up with something else, right? What I mean by that, as he comes forward in here, if this doesn't work in here, right, you need to be ready to follow up in here with some more techniques in here like this. This is why you want to be able to have, a jab off your rear side as well, right? Or deliver a very short cross or something in case this doesn't work, all right? So if we switch sides in here, just kind of give you what it looks like from what this side is doing in here. If I deliver the horizontal or the vertical punch, right, this hand in here, once again, as he comes forward, boom, is hiding here like this. It's in a position where I can use it. Don't put it on center line in here. Don't have it off here like this. Put it in a position where I can block, shield, and cover, right? Because he could be throwing a strike at the same time in here, pow, in here, and I need to hide myself on the way in like this, okay? And then from there, depending on what happens, as he comes forward in here, boom, in here, I may have to, use, other techniques in here to keep him off me. But keep that hand in a position, into a shield where you can use it in here like that, okay? You remember your head should come down and protect all on this line, irregardless, right? Again, whatever punch I use in here like this, whether it's vertical or horizontal here, adjust your guard, your arm, your defensive head according to need. So, as I come up, boom, in here, it could be like this, it could be more like this. It really doesn't matter. I think that it's the concept is what matters. The general concept is to keep that defensive arm in a position ready to fire or defend, immediately, okay? All right, so take that drill, take a smaller pad, and try to be more accurate with it. Work on it. If perfected,